Okay, well, welcome to your messages for the week, July 26th to August the 1st. That's what we're reading for. So, as always, it's Sunday, so we're going to do our messages for the week. I've got lots of decks here today. I feel really drawn to a few decks today, but we're going to start with this deck. We're going to start with Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week. What messages do we have for Capricorn? Okie doke. Let's make sure my hands are showing. Okay. Let's see here. Of course, the Death card. Capricorns are going through it. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah. All right. And what do we have? Chariot in reverse on the bottom. Okay, so Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What do I see here for you? We've got the Five of Wands. So you're on the hump. You are on the hump, and it's challenge time. You probably, oh boy, it's tricky. It's tricky because you're going through a form of life cycle change, rebirth. You're heading into the next phase of your life. So what's happening right now is that transition that you're going through is creating so many obstacles for you to be expressive in what inspires you. All right? So it's like, you know, when I see something like this, it makes me say more self-care. More self-care, maybe some meditation, get some exercise. You've got to manage the emotional and physical feelings of this. You know, sometimes you see it described as lots of different things. Some people call it the ascension flu. I like that terminology where, you know, you start to actually feel physically like you've got a flu and that you just want to stay in bed and sort of you're not interested in engaging with anything because of how you're literally feeling. And it's because you're transitioning from one phase to another. There's a part of you that you're shedding a skin. You could be noticing that the people around you are starting to change and that you're just not resonating with the same folks anymore, or you're not resonating with your job anymore, or you're not resonating with, there could be lots of things that you're not resonating with, and that may seem on paper, or if you were reading it in a novel, as sort of like, oh, well, she's going to transition. Yeah, but what does it feel like when that's happening? Well, it doesn't feel too great. And I mean, you really have to shift your focus on that and do a lot of self-care and try to really just, you know, get grounded in that feeling, because otherwise it just never seems to, you know, end, if you will. And the issue here is right now you're starting to really wake up to this feeling of inspiration inside you where it's like, I know I'm leveling up into something new and I want to be able to express something, but I don't know how, I don't know what, and I don't know, like, you just don't know. You have a lot of unknown things in your mind right now, Capricorn, and it's interesting. And it's like, yeah, you need some time, I would suggest, in you know, to withdraw from the external world so that you can sort of deal with some of this stuff in a way that's positive. I was going to say productive, but productivity isn't necessary right now. I mean emotionally productive. Like, the last thing you want to do is put pressure on yourself on top of this. That's not going to serve you. All right. Now, at the top of your mind, I see that you are feeling like, you know, you could have everything you want, but you just don't know what it is. You need to figure out what that is first. You know what I mean? Like, you need to figure out, what is it that I'm trying to express? And the Five of Wands, it's almost like you know, but you don't know. You sort of have a feeling, but you're not sure. So it's not super clear at the Five of Wands to you that what the next step is, and where that next step is, and how to get to that next step. Do you know what I mean? But top of mind for you is this idea that you will be a phoenix who rises from the ashes, that you will be able to, you know, you will be able to rise from whatever it was that you just sort of went through. And the star is, that's Aquarius energy. So, I mean, it's an air sign. So I really feel like that makes me think that what's important right now is what you believe and what you think about yourself. What you believe and think about yourself is going to be really important right now for you, Capricorn. Now, at the end of the day, I can see that things are challenging you because you feel like if I had to put a description on your emotional state right now, I'd say you just feel sort of bummed out. You're sort of bummed out. You're disappointed. You're not really feeling emotionally like, like you're sort of feeling like, like you're just, and it comes from this feeling of maybe feeling lost, maybe as the shell of you cracks open and parts of it fall away, you could be emotionally like you could be realizing that you have emotional attachments to some parts of that shell, right? And every time a piece of it falls and chips away, you almost feel the cringe of do you know what I'm trying to describe? Like, as things are changing, it's emotional for you, right? Like it's an emotional thing, and it's not necessarily jumping up and down for joy all the time, even though that's sort of where you want to get to. You want to get to a place where you feel really satisfied and happy, and that you made it and you came through it. This is the it, right? Like you have to come through this to get to be that phoenix from the ashes. That phoenix went through hell to fly out of those ashes, right? So you're sort of in that area right now where it's like, this is sort of the emotional density of transformation. You're feeling the emotional density of transformation, and it's dense. It's dense, guys. Now, I can see here recent past energies for you have been surrounding the idea that you need to be authentic, and it's challenging. Okay, so in sort of the recent past energies for you, you can see that new moon in this card. Makes me think that maybe it goes back to the new moon as that recent, but that you're battling a lot of stuff here, Capricorn, because because of this transformation. Being authentic is a loose term right now for you because you're not sure who you are anymore. Do you know what I mean? That's the whole point of transformation, is that you're changing. So it's sort of a challenge for you to say, am I being authentic, or am I just hiding? Am I hiding from the world because I'm healing, or am I just hiding because I'm terrified? Because if someone asks me a question and I might not know how to answer it. Like, what if they say, how are you feeling? And then I'm like, I don't want to commit to a feeling. Do you know what I mean? That kind of vibe where you're sitting in this in between two worlds where you don't know quite how to describe anything. And that coming up in terms of the most coming up future influences, it's going to involve sacrifice, Capricorn, and trusting the process. So as parts of that shell chip off of you and fall away, you've got to trust that it's all happening for you to come out of that shell new, transformed, shiny, brand new, right? Every time a piece of that shell cracks off, don't think, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, there goes another piece of me. No, just be like, yay, there goes another piece of the old me that doesn't serve me anymore. I love the old me. She's great. She's why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, nothing, you can't judge the shell, and you can't want to hide in it. Like, when it's time to come out, it's time to come out. So you're going to lose pieces of your shell, but that's okay, because as you go through this next phase of your life, you're going to develop another shell. That shell will eventually have to crack open so that you can transform again. That's the gig, guys. That's why we're here, right? And I mean, I say it with so much confidence, but as I'm going through it, my God, I feel it, I get it. But you know, the idea is it's not in vain, and you can, that's what we're here for. We're here, hi Francis, because we're trying to evolve, to see who we are, who are we capable of becoming. In your mind, you're full of you want answers. Very true to a Capricorn. You just want to know what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, where's the light, where's the dark, where am I, how do I serve, just tell me, where, you know, what am I supposed to do in order to serve others, and point me to the path, and what's, you know, and you just want all the answers. And it's sort of like, once it's time for you to uncover things, you will, right? Like the Judgment card to me always talks about like the idea of divine timing when it comes to getting an understanding of something. Like this is going to be the cause and effect, like finally realizing itself, right? Like sometimes, you know, if a butterfly flaps its wings, we might not know what the effect of that is, right? Like what did that cause, right? We don't know. But this card is sort of like that's what you're all about. You want to know. You want to know where the answers are in terms of what are you supposed to be doing. And you're weighing it out. You really want to understand this. But you know, you're coming, like you're trying to figure all this stuff out. But in terms of how the outside world sees you, they see you as feeling challenged to see that there's a choice ahead, that you sort of can't continue the same way that you have been up until this point. And it's interesting because it's like you other people can see it, that you're having a really difficult time knowing which way to go with something that is really, really almost something that you're avoiding. Yeah, it's like you're avoiding the choice on something, but something tells me that you feel polarized by this because you don't know which way to go. It's not that you're just procrastinating because, you know, you're avoiding things. I think you're delaying on a choice because there's some healing that needs to happen here. We see the Four of Swords, and there's a part of you that is like, well, what's going to happen once I'm healed? How is this picture going to look so different when I'm healed? And you're trying to find out the answer before you do the healing. And it doesn't work that way. You do the healing and then you find out. You don't find out and then decide if it's worth it or not. Very Capricorn of you, but no, that's not how it's going to work. Now, the Knight of Swords here is your final outcome, which really suggests that it's time for you to prepare for the sudden life cycle change that we see it's currently causing you to just feel a little bit lost, but you've got to prepare for it. So get grounded. I've been seeing a lot of other readers talk about this need to almost like do fasting and prepare the body actually as well, not just mentally and emotionally, but physically, and to maybe eat foods that are just vegetables for a little while, you know, like doing a vegetarian cleanse. It's interesting. A lot of like day-to-day stuff. It's practical preparation. It's practical stuff that you can do, like, you know, exercise, eating different, you know, changing your dietary habits, changing your sugar intake, like things that you can do, getting rest, getting exercise. Like they're actually practical things you can do to ground. Going for walks without your shoes on, like really connecting to the earth, finding a body of water to go swimming in, like a legit body of water. And there's ways for you, Capricorn, to connect. And like you had Chariot in reverse on the bottom, which really says to me that you've got to align your energies. You could benefit from a Reiki treatment. You could benefit from some energy healing, some sound therapy, you know, connecting with crystals. And there's so many things you could do. You can do to enrich your energetic body in the emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual, so that like you're ready for this sudden life change that's coming. And you can feel it. I'm saying it's sudden, but you can feel it. If this is resonating for you, you can totally feel it already, Capricorn. Okay, let's move on to Aquarius. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the upcoming week, July 26th to August 1st. Let's see what messages we have for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Oops, in this period. Okay. Oops. I never used this deck, but I felt called to use it today, and it's just a little unfamiliar in my hands for shuffling. Okay, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, Queen of Wands on the bottom. Okay, so Aquarius, let's have a look here. Well, Aquarius, it looks like you're at a time right now where facing a truth honestly is causing a challenge for you in terms of looking at yourself honestly and assessing yourself as a leader, as a teacher, as someone who would be in an authority. So sort of like that father figure aspect of yourself. There's a challenge for you in sort of looking at yourself, okay? Because there's something that needs to be faced honestly first, and you've got to face it without judgment, Aquarius. Whatever happened here, as represented by the Five of Swords, whatever it is that you need to face honestly, even though it's causing you to sort of not like what you see, like you're sort of like, but if I face this honestly, then that means I'm blank. Like you put the word in, right? But something that you have already judged as being negative, right? Like, you know, and it's sort of like, we all do things that if you look at honestly, sometimes it's like, that was not necessary, you know, or that was more about how I was feeling about myself. But as a result, I ended up lashing out on someone else. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, okay, that happens. And if we judge ourselves, then we're not going to heal from doing that, those sort of things. Do you know what I mean? If you hold yourself in judgment instead of just saying, well, you know, I understand now that the reason I treated that person that way was because of how I was feeling about myself. It actually had nothing to do with that individual who was within my pathway as I was figuring that out about myself, but I took it out on them. And it's almost like that's what's going on here for you, Aquarius. Like something happened that is a challenge for you to accept. You're having a hard time accepting that you did something, and you're judging yourself. Why are you being so hard on yourself, Aquarius? Why are you being so hard on yourself? I can see that it had to do with a relationship that started in the past, and it started sort of with this like innocence that was almost like such a new dimension of love for you. But then while you were actually in the experience, it ended up giving you the pathway to heal something. But as a result, the individual that you were with maybe was the subject that now you feel bad about something. Okay, we've been seeing this. If you've been following any of my readings, we've been seeing that Aquarius, the Aquariuses that are drawn to my readings seem to be feeling bad about something that happened in a relationship, and they are punishing themselves. They are punishing themselves, and even if they did something that they feel regret about now, it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. You know what I mean? And you need to forgive yourself and stop judging yourself. Gosh, I'm so bossy. Sometimes I hear myself, I'm like, you're so bossy. But it's just, it's holding you back. You know what I mean, Aquarius? It's holding you back by judging yourself and sort of replaying this moment and defining yourself by this moment. You're hurting your inner child, and you're hurting yourself. You're damaging yourself mentally by continuously saying, how could I have done that, and not facing it, and then like finding a way to judge yourself for it. You got to let this go. You gotta. Now, in the upcoming future, we see that you're being called also to become more gentle with yourself. Like as I just said, you know, this card is saying exactly what I just said. You need to forgive yourself, and you need to be kind and gentle with yourself, and focus on your day-to-day. Let go of things that are not in the present anymore. Okay, like if this relationship that started in the past had an ending that you judge yourself for, that is over now. You have to stop replaying that in your mind, right? Like you've got to let it go. And I see that it's going to be a challenge for you in the upcoming future to let it go, but hopefully you're working on it, because the Knight of Pentacles is here. And so that is an emerging energy that is tangible, that comes in. So you could have, like, maybe from the last full moon, you know, that we just entered Aquarius, and we're staying in Aquarius for the August full moon too. So maybe this is your chance, Aquarius, to work through this, okay? This is your chance. You got to work through this and let it go. Right now, all you can think of is that you sacrificed something. That's all you can think of, is that your actions led to a sacrifice, and your outer manifestation is that it appears that, you know, it's interesting to see the devil in this in reverse in this position, which makes me think that the people around you are seeing that you're changing. So the people around you are starting to see that you've changed. And maybe that's part of the problem here, is that you're no longer who you used to be, as a result of this dynamic, which should also give you the idea that maybe it all happened to get you here, right? Like maybe that was the purpose. If you believe in prearrangements, like I do, you would believe maybe along the lines that you and this person had a prearrangement that said, hey, listen, we're going to have this relationship start, and it's going to be really sweet and lovely. But then I'm going to do something so that I can evolve and learn about myself and step into this new phase of my life. And you're going to help me get there. And you agree, you shake on it, and then you come to earth, and then it plays out. And then, because when we're here, we have emotions. We don't have emotions at the boardroom when we're planning all of this. We're looking at it on paper. And then it ends up feeling awful, and then you can't let go of how bad it feels. But that was never the point. The point was never to feel bad about it forever. The point was to feel it, learn from it, and then let it go and forgive yourself and move on, right? To the next experience, to see what's this one going to do? What's going to happen here? We get hung up though, you know? We get hung up. Now, the Two of Wands in reverse is how you're sort of like wishing and wanting, which is interesting, because you're wishing and wanting for something to get to a place where you're formulating something new, but you're like, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it until this is managed. Well, that's not true. Maybe this energy is coming in because it's time to let this go. But it's in reverse right now, because are you allowing it in? Which is interesting, because we see Temperance, which is, you know, this is Archangel Michael telling you everything is taking the right amount of time. All you have to do is let the flow happen, right? Let that flow happen. And it takes time. It takes time for water to go from this cup to this cup. It's in reverse because right now you're feeling, I bet you're feeling sort of like lost. You're feeling lost in all of this. This is a transformative process for you, Aquarius. And instead of judging yourself on this, open yourself up to the idea of being free of this. Open yourself up to that. Open up to the idea that regardless of what happened in this relationship that started in the past, regardless of what happened here, you're able to let this go now. It's no longer your reality. We see the Queen of Wands on the bottom of the deck, which is really an energy that says, I decide. I decide what sustains me. I decide whatever I put my attention on will grow. What are you putting your attention on that's got you up all night like this? Right? Whatever you put your attention on, that's what's going to grow. Whatever you focus on is what's going to grow. right? So you've got to choose what you're going to focus on here. And it is a choice. I know it doesn't feel like it's a choice, but it's a choice. It's a choice. It's a conscious choice you make, what you're going to focus on. And if we don't sometimes work through the uncomfortable stuff, then we stay stuck there. It's always going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes you've just got to push through that uncomfort to get to the meaning behind it. Why is it coming to you at this time, right? Okay, Aquarius. Oh, that's heavy. Okay, let's move on to Pisces. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising for July 26th to August the 1st. I can't believe that. August the 1st is within our week next week. Can you believe that? We're stepping into the 8th month of the year. This year's gone by so fast. I don't know if that's anyone else's experience, but I am in actual literal amazement that we're going to be starting. We're ending the 7th month. Wow. Anyway, okay, let's see what's going on for Pisces. Ooh, that was a weird cut. Let's cut again. Okay, shuffle and then cut again. Sorry about that, guys. Ooh, we got the cut on the Fool there. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. That's better. Thank you so much. Okay, what's going on here for Pisces? Okay, Pisces. The Hangman has appeared in every reading so far. Everyone is going through sacrifice and loss, it seems. The feelings of sacrifice, loss, uncertainty. Where's this all going? 9 of Swords on the bottom of the deck. Okay, Pisces. You need to be flexible, Pisces. Your lack of mental flexibility about things, like, you know, stubborn sort of vibe, or you're really dedicated to maintaining a certain set of ideals, even if they are costing you sort of the beginning of a new inspired cycle. Okay, so whatever Pisces is doing willfully by like sort of refusing to see another perspective is going to end up costing you. You're going to end up staying here longer than you need to in this cage of feeling overwhelmed. Even though there's a ride right there and a golden fleece right there, you're just like, what? This cycle's over? No way, no way. It's not ending. No way. And you're really Queen of Swords about it, in the sense that you're an immovable mental force. If you don't think, if you're not on board mentally, like if you don't think the way you need to think about this boat and this fleece, you're going to stay stuck in one perspective. And that's exactly what's happening right now, Pisces. You are stuck in a perspective. I was just saying this to someone on a call the other day about, you know, when we look through the Swiss cheese that is the curtain of this reality that we call life here. If you only look through one hole of that cheese all the time, that's all you're ever going to see of the picture behind that cheese. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be willing to look through as many holes as possible in order to get an idea of what the picture is behind there. What is the picture behind that Swiss cheese revealing to you? And if you only look through the same hole every time, that's all, you're only going to get one perspective, right? And you've got to sort of, you know, if you want the next cycle to come, then you need to be willing to look at the same situation from a different perspective, okay? Or the same experience from a different perspective. And try to think of it from a perspective that comes from a place that's like not fear, not anger, like choose something like love or compassion. Look through those lenses to see if that gives you a different set of data You know what I mean? Like, the whole idea is to collect data and understand the experiences we have. And the only thing you see right now is loss. You got 2 10s here, a 10 of Wands and a 10 of Cups in reverse, both in reverse, which says to me, honestly, that you are looking at a situation and you've assessed it as loss. And so long as you assess it as loss, then you will be in a place of scarcity, which is where you find yourself right now. Like, it's like you're refusing to see that maybe that is redirection, that you have been sort of redirected away from something because emotionally it wasn't serving you. To me, it appears like this isn't necessarily going to resonate for everyone, but this appears to be a relationship or an emotional bond that has ended. Okay, this emotional bond has ended, and as a result, you're sort of not willing to move on to what's next because you're refusing to see this as something that could be a redirection, and you're seeing it as a loss. Yeah, you're not understanding the sacrifice here. You're seeing it as like, no, I really wanted that to work out. I really wanted this to work out. And it's not fair, you know, that kind of feeling. That's where you're sitting right now. And you're not seeing that it's part of the process, that sometimes we have to, that not everything is meant to stay. You know what I mean? And in the past, you sort of had an understanding of that. You had an understanding that in order to generate change, sometimes things need to evolve. And when things evolve, sometimes we lose little things along the way on that path of evolution. And it's like you understood that to some degree, but maybe in the past it happened in a way that served you. Maybe in the past it was the energy that brought in this relationship in the first place, and now that the relationship is over, you're sort of re-questioning the same thing and saying, well, how does this fit into the grand scheme of things? And you're not seeing that this beautiful auspicious ace, you're not seeing that this is actually an invitation to start a new cycle. You've got the 10 in the current, like, present situation, and then you see this Ace of Wands, which is Wands also, but it's like the ace. It's time to start a new cycle, which is exactly what happens once we hit a 10. And you've hit a 10 on the Cups too, which is your emotionals, your emotional being, your emotional body. You know what I mean? And it's like, here's an Ace of Swords. Other people see you as sort of almost being narrow-minded, in the sense of like, you're like, I see it this way and no one's going to show me another way. Other people see you as being an immovable sword, which is like the mind, right? And you're like, people don't want to challenge you necessarily because look at who they're going to get when they do. And it's interesting because other people see you that way, but really what's happening on the inside is this refusal to just release the resistance to this new way of being. It's actually beyond just thinking. This is becoming a part of your spirit now. Like, your spirit is trying to express itself through your intuition, but what's holding you back is your thoughts, the way your self-limiting beliefs, maybe your beliefs about things ending. You've got some beliefs here, Pisces, that aren't serving you, and Spirit's trying to push you to do something new, to have a new inspiration play in your mind, and you're resisting. You're resisting it because you've attached meaning to the things that are leaving. Like I was saying for Capricorn, you've attached meanings to the parts of the shell that are breaking off and falling away. You've attached so much meaning to those things that, of course, when they fall off, you're devastated. But how else are you going to be the phoenix if you're in the shell, right? So it seems like connecting efforts, skills, and talents it's like you want that. You want to be able to say, these are the things about myself that are worthy. You're having a moment here where you just don't feel worthy and you need to heal. We've got the Four of Swords with this Eight of Pentacles, and it's sort of like you're starting to question your inner value and worth because of this thing that ended. And that's come on, Pisces, really? You can't do that. How many people are on this planet? You're going to let the opinion of this person shift you so dramatically that you're questioning who you are in a way that's not serving you. And Spirit's really guiding you to step away from the external world and heal this situation with yourself. You've got to come into some kind of healing here, okay? You know what I mean? And yeah, and we see the Nine of Swords on the bottom of the deck, you know, which is a time of like foreboding future. Like you're not looking into the future and seeing something. Oh, I don't know. This is, you got to reassess this thing that left, this emotional attachment that you formed towards a person, experience, or thing. Something that left has left this huge hole, and now you're having a really hard time healing from that. But that's exactly what you need to do, Pisces. That is exactly what you need to do. Whatever this was that you can't stop thinking about and you're not sure why it left, it's okay. It was just meant to teach you something, and I'm sure that the lesson is there, but you're not seeing it because you're focusing so much on the loss. But you know, yeah, that's tricky. That's hard. It's hard, especially if it was anything that you attached a great deal of meaning to. That's going to be hard to accept when those things have had their timeline happen, and if it's time to go. But this is the stuff of life, my friends. This is what we're here to do and feel, is this stuff. Is to understand that endings are beginnings. You've got an emotional and like something ended here, and you're having a hard time accepting it, Pisces. Something ended here and you're just having a really hard time accepting it. And it's, I think, because you can't understand how that could be part of the plan. How could this loss have been part of the plan? How? And why? Yeah. There's something you need to heal from, and it's not going to get healed by you thinking that you're not worthy or valuable, or if you're questioning your inner value. I think you're blaming yourself for this thing ending. You're blaming yourself, and it's not fair. It's actually bringing on so many levels of anxiety for you, because I think you're taking on too much. You know, you're thinking that something innate about you was the cause of something leaving. But doesn't that say something? Like, doesn't that just say, like, when I hear myself say that, that makes me think, well, if something is in such far alignment from where I am, so far so that it has to leave my life, well, then I should help it leave, because I only want to attract things that are aligned to where I am, right? And so it's interesting. I think that Four of Swords is your final guidance, is really asking you to heal from this and to step back and look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from a different hole in the Swiss cheese, my friends. Okay, let's move on to Aries. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the upcoming week. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising for July 26th to August 1st. Okay. Oh my goodness, just like Capricorn, Death card is the crossing factor here. Okay, the Hangman's back again, you guys. He's just not gonna go away. He is here to stay. That's funny. He's been in every reading that has happened here. Okay, so what's happening here for my Aries? What's going on here, Aries? Let's have a look. Sort of similar to Capricorn in the sense, and you are a cardinal sign as well, so maybe this is something that's plaguing the cardinal signs. Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra are the cardinal signs. You're going through a transformation, okay? And the way that this transformation is affecting you is creating an obstacle for you to begin a brand new sort of physical enterprise, like something tangible in this world, like maybe a new job, a new pathway, maybe moving, a new home, a new business, a new something. Okay, something new is coming. You feel it. It's not something you can see with your eyes yet. It's right now. It's sort of just something in your mind that you're like, I really want to do this. This is something I really feel drawn to do. Something I want to belong to. Something I want to bring into creation. Okay, that kind of energy. But you're having a hard time doing that because you're shifting. You're in between two worlds right now. You are in a process where you're becoming the next phase of yourself. You're becoming the next version of you, okay, Aries? And so as a result of that, you're not really able to, only because of your perspective, you're not really able to focus on this new thing just yet. And I see that there's a new relationship here for you. You may have just started something new in the romantic realm. You may have just met someone that you like, or you may have just started dating someone, but you're worrying about it. You're worrying about it so much that you could be like almost sabotaging things. You gotta stop worrying. Worrying is like praying for the worst outcome to happen. Stop it. Stop worrying. It doesn't serve us at all to worry. Once you start to get into this worried mind, you start to notice the things about life that you aren't trying to attract, but you notice them because that's what your focus is on, right? Now, it's interesting because this new relationship, it's just a baby. It's like a very new relationship. And this feeling of the Five of Cups, it's almost like you're projecting all these cups that have fallen in the past onto this new relationship. That new relationship has nothing to do with these cups. Nothing. These cups have their own story, okay? Don't assume that past situations will always unfold in the same way. Does that make sense? Like, just because you've had a hard time with something in a relationship before, like let's say communication comes to mind, doesn't mean that at the first sign of needing to talk about something, it's over. Do you know what I mean? The Five of Cups is a time where instead of looking at what's happening in the present, you're focused way too much on the stuff that's happened in the past. And that's why this relationship may be sort of on your mind right now, because you're worried you're worried you're going to screw it up, and by worrying about screwing it up, you might screw it up. So better to just imagine that all the things that could go right, you know, so that we can get this page looking like this. We want this new energy to come in and have a feeling of transformation associated with it, not an idea that it's going to go the same way it always has, right? I can see that in the recent past, you did sort of see something. You met this person in the past and you created the bond. You created the first steps of this recently with someone. This is a new relationship, and it could lead to a very beautiful commitment here. We see the Empress in the future. So it's really exciting to see this happen for you, Aries, because I think you want this. I think this could be this Ace of Pentacles, is that you want to start a new level of creative union with someone, and you want it to be balanced emotionally too. But on your mind, you seem to think that we see the Knight of Swords in reverse. The Knight of Swords in reverse is really a time where you've got to prepare for your life changing, and sort of you're going to have broader views of things. Like things are going to shift in a way that like you're going to broaden, which is great. You're going to broaden your mental perspective about something, but you're worrying about it. You're worrying you're not going to be in balance if that happens. You're wondering if you're going to slip into self-sacrifice. I bet that's the pattern that you tend to slip into, isn't it, Aries? You slip into a pattern of self-sacrifice, and you know, you almost need to heal that, my dear Aries. You might need to work on that in order to not end up sacrificing and self-sabotaging this relationship. Yeah, there is an element of sabotage happening here because of the way you're thinking and the things you believe about yourself and relationships. You need to look at how do you see yourself in relationships, and what can you do to understand yourself as someone in a relationship. Like, that's all these spilled cups are sort of like designed to help you do, is to just understand, who was I when that cup spilled? Who was I when this cup spilled? This one, this one, this one. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not so that you believe those things about yourself forever. Like, for example, in my last relationship, I understand now that I displayed and gave evidence of that. I had very poor communication skills, and I understand why now, because I sat with it instead of judging myself and saying, Marie, you know, if you had only been a better communicator. No, I did that for a little while, but I found that it wasn't helpful, and it's not helpful. What is helpful is to go back and say, without judgment, this is how you communicated. Now let's try and understand why, so we can heal that part of ourselves that, you know, when we have an area that needs healing, it ends up manifesting in very funny ways in our life and in our relationships. We end up having these like patterns, these behaviors, or these things that we say and do, actions that aren't in alignment with the situation. They seem outside of the situation, and it's usually because there's something that needs our attention. We're holding on to emotions in an area that's got us convinced that you're a bad communicator, you know, and that what you have to say isn't valuable. Just go along, right? And then once that's healed, all of a sudden you're a great communicator. Do you know what I mean? Because you were able to, for me anyway, the issue ended up being about valuing myself. So it's very interesting, you guys. Like, once you face these things that happened, but you do it in a way that without judging yourself, you end up learning so much about yourself and then you see it's a choice that you can choose to continue that way or not. And it doesn't have to be anything more than that. It's a choice, right? Anyway, Aries, you're on the cusp of needing to make a choice that's very similar to the one I just described. So you've got to choose to see this situation for what it is, without clouding it with the lens of stuff that you've lost in the past, perceived loss in relationships in the past. Just because those situations ended up that way doesn't mean that this is doomed. But do feel the guidance here that it's important for you to look at how you're thinking about relationships in the first place, and that try to expand your view on it instead of just narrowing that view. I really feel like the cardinal signs are all the signs so far, but like Capricorn and Aries are both cardinal signs, and they're definitely going through this with respect to how they need to change how they're looking at a situation. They need to expand their view of it. Okay, let's move on to Taurus. Let's see what's going on for my Taurus friends today for the upcoming week, July 26th to August 1st. Okay, Taurus. Thank you. Let's see if the Hangman shows up again. No Hangman this time, guys. That's funny. Okay, maybe he's on the bottom of the deck. No. Okay, now let's have a look here for Taurus. Okay, Taurus, what's going on here for you? Okay, it seems like Taurus, you are in a place right now where it appears that family and emotional contentment within a union or family dynamic is creating a moment here for you where you're not able to fully express how worried you are about the future. Okay, so you're sort of at a place right now where you're really trying to maintain the faith that everything is going to be okay, but you can't help but feel like, no, it's just setback after setback. And the only thing sort of creating a barrier between you and getting a little too carried away with this idea that you're surrounded by loss is a union or your family. There is an emotional stability that they provide you with right now that is interesting. This is really interesting. There are changes coming, and you need to sort of hold fast. And that's exactly what you're doing. You can feel the change. You've got the Wheel of Fortune here and the Fool. So that's very interesting. You've got some really interesting energy around you right now, Taurus. And it's like cause and effect is happening right now, right in front of your eyes. And you need to be able to take a leap of faith here and go forward with this stable foundation that either your union or your family is creating for you, because coming up for you is going to be like almost like a celebration amongst new friends, because some other friends, yeah, this is interesting. You're going through a time right now, Taurus, where it's almost like you're really going to know who your friends are. And I feel like some of the people that are going to be the closest to you during this time of transition and transformation, they're already really close to you. Like it's your key people here, your key people, but there's going to be some other people that you're going to see in the future are going to have to, like, it's almost like that relationship is done. And it's in your mind when those relationships close out, it's almost going to feel like you've lost a part of your identity, because some of these people are going to have been around with you for a while. Okay, that's interesting. So Taurus is going through a transition here where they're going to notice relationship shifts, which is interesting because the full moon in Aquarius does highlight relationships. And that just happened 2 days ago. So we're still sitting in the energy of it. Right now, you can't help but think of it as a loss, and it's making you feel a little defeated, and you can't even see that the good around you. Sort of like when you think about this, it gets you feeling like everything is not great right now. Maybe there's some real action happening here for you with respect to relationships. There's some shifts happening in relationships for you. You're going to make some new ones, that's for sure. But you're going to have to maintain your authenticity, which is the part that's going to be a struggle for you, Taurus, which is interesting because you're incredibly authentic. But it's almost like this is what's happening, okay? What I'm seeing here is that you're going to discover about yourself that, some certain new ideals. And it's like you're gonna do some shedding. You're gonna remove experiences, people, and things that no longer align with who you are and where you're headed. It's almost like you're going to remove and cut cords as necessary, and the guidance is that it's going to be a balancing act between the authentic you and the ego you. That's where you're going to find the battle. It's going to be a mental battle where you're like making decisions about which relationships to invest in. And it may be a challenge for you because, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, but the thing that's going to be challenging is this idea that your ideals are going to have changed. Your ideals have shifted, so you're not going to be able to proceed with certain relationships that have the old set of ideals. Do you know what I mean? And that's going to be where you find yourself sort of feeling a little bit like emotionally that it's going to, it's going to feel like loss. And so you have to manage that. You're going to have to manage that with the people that are staying in your life. Look to them. Make sure you look to them and see that, you've just made room for a bunch of new relationships to come in as well that are more aligned with you. So even if some relationships end, Taurus, they won't be just an empty hole. Besides, quality is better than quantity, isn't it? Not better. I don't like the word better, but do you know what I mean? Like, if certain relationships are just taking up space in your life and you're investing energy in these relationships that aren't serving you, then it sounds a little like a tough line to take, to say, well, then those relationships might be ending. And that could be happening. And it's interesting to see that family is the key here. Is that's what's really going to help you get through this, is the people that you call family. And that could be your chosen family, or your if you have a family. But it could also be your chosen family, the family that you choose to call family. Really interesting, Taurus. You got to make sure you're mindful of what's around you, though. So like if you, let's say a key relationship ends, instead of focusing on that relationship that ended, focus on the people that remain. Okay? Don't let the loss overtake the gratitude for what you have now. Does that make sense? Like, don't let the focus be the loss. Let the focus be, I'm so grateful for what I have, because I have everything I need, I have already. So focus on that. Make that your focus. Mindfully choose that as your focus. If you feel yourself naturally inclined to focus on the fact that, well, I'm no longer friends with this person, or they're no longer in my life, choose to focus on the fact that, look at all the people that are in your life. It's a shift, just a perspective shift. And that's not discounting that it may make you sad. But just don't stay in the sad place. Get grateful for what remains. Okay, Taurus. That's your week. Good luck. I have a very close friend who's a Taurus. So I hope she will keep that in mind. Okay. I consider her family, though. So I don't think our relationship's going anywhere. But Gemini is up next here. Gemini. What's up for Gemini? Messages for the week for July 26th to August 1st for Gemini. The Geminis have had a hard transition as well in the last few readings, where Spirit was calling them to follow their inspiration. Let's see what's going on for Geminis. There's that Page of Wands again. There's that Five of Cups in the same place, but in reverse. Interesting. Three of Cups is that. Wow, it's so interesting to see repeating cards. Okay. Nine of Swords on the bottom. All right. So, what is going on here, Gemini? You are feeling challenged to face something honestly. And the main thing challenging it is this idea that there are opposing forces pulling you in your life that need balancing. So it could be there's something that you really need to face, though. This is interesting. Something that you need to face honestly, a mental truth, but because there's opposing forces, it's hard for you to face it. Okay, so Gemini, it's almost like the idea that you can't manifest something if you don't believe in manifestation. You can't take a step towards it if you don't, because if you have two conflicting beliefs operating, then nothing happens. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you know and what do you believe? These sorts of things need to be considered right now, because that's the truth you have to face that's challenging you, is that something really needs your attention, as you can see in this card, but it's like you're going round and round, looping around two opposing ideas constantly, when really you just have to face the truth. But when you try to do that, you are being met with, well, it could be this or it could be this. And the idea is here that top of mind for you is that it's almost like you're starting to question everything. You're starting to question everything, which is making it very hard to face the truth about things, because you're almost able to see the two polar ends on everything right now, Gemini. It's like you've stepped into this realm where you're like, well, I can see their point and I can see their point. And as a result, if both points are, if that's this person's belief and that's this person's belief, then why should they have to compromise? That's where you're at. You're at a place where you're like, why should I have to compromise? Well, you don't have to compromise. And I think almost like that's the truth that you need to see before you can go forward, is that you don't have to compromise. The Five of Cups in reverse to me is a card of sort of settling and compromise. When I see the Five of Cups in reverse, I think, like, when I see it upright, I think of someone who's having a hard time letting go of a situation that was really painful. But when I see it in reverse, it's almost like someone who's like, I don't want to compromise. I want it all. I want all of these cups full again. Which is funny, because it's kind of similar to the upright, but it's almost got a different vibe to it, where it's like, instead of it being like emotionally sad, where it's like the loss of those emotional attachments makes someone feel sad, it's almost like it motivates in the reverse. It motivates you to get them back somehow. It's very interesting. You've got a situation here, Gemini, where, yeah, you don't want to compromise, but you feel, it's almost like you believe that, there is no emotional satisfying ending. There's no ending that's emotionally satisfying. And if you believe that, you can't believe that and try and manifest the satisfying ending. Does that make sense? Like, you can't go, I don't believe there is a satisfying ending, but this is a satisfying ending I'm trying to manifest, but I don't believe it's possible. Well, that doesn't work then. That it's like a negative, right? Like, they cancel each other out almost mentally, in my mind. In the future, it appears that you're sort of going to start to understand that if you want to connect what you think, that you want to do, what's inspired, then you have to believe it's possible. You can't start something and go, but I don't believe it's possible. That's what I'm feeling here. And that makes sense with the other readings from Gemini, is that they're at a place where they really want to do something, but it's like they keep talking themselves out of it. At first it appeared because they were concerned with the outside world would think, but now it seems like you're talking yourself out of it because you're like, it's not possible. But I want that. Well, but it's not possible. And you just keep looping around with yourself between that, going, it's not possible, but that's what I want. Well, why is it not possible? Why are you saying that to yourself, Gemini? I think you're saying that to yourself because you can't imagine getting your wish fulfilled. You can't imagine a universe, Gemini, where you get what you want. Why, Gemini? If this is resonating for you, Gemini, if someone else can get what they want, you're the same as them. We're all the same. We all come in exactly the same. It's just our experiences give us different beliefs about ourselves and the world. That's the only thing that separates us, is circumstance and belief. That's it. But I mean, ultimately, if anyone is capable of something, then everyone is capable of something. And that goes across the board. So why should you be the only one who doesn't get what they want? This is a self-limiting belief, Gemini. You got to shake it. Come over. We'll do some Reiki, some energy alignment. But you got to shake this self-limiting belief. It's really holding you back. And other people can see that you need to heal something that you're not. It's like, you know, have you ever been around someone where you're like, you can hear their inner child screaming from behind the curtain going, help me. Help me, please. They're not paying any attention to me and I need help. And then it's like so obvious and you want to help, but you know you can't really. Like, it's completely the person's choice whether or not they address this or not. But yeah, sometimes looking from the outside and listening, being a good listener, you can hear that inner child of the other person that needs to be healed. But all you can do is hope, like, all you can do is sort of encourage the person to see if they can hear it too. But ultimately it's up to them, you know, it's up to them. It's all free will. Your biggest hope and fear is actually making a selection, because one of these cups, you know, one of these cups is exactly what you hoped and prayed for here. But you're afraid. There's a lot of fear here with respect to that. And as a result, you're finding yourself that you're narrowing you're narrowing your source of inspiration rather than expanding it. Okay, so this self-limiting talk that you're doing here, where you're saying things aren't possible and that, you know, you can't have certain things, and that I don't want to generate change. The only marker here that makes me think that you're going to tap into that is this King of Wands. Okay, which is Leo energy. All right, Gemini, like, we're in the season of Leo. So Leo is all around us right now. The sun is in Leo. It's time for this sort of bold action. So go for it. Stop thinking about it so much, you air sign. Oh, Gemini. You know, it's just like you're thinking about it. You're overthinking this. You are overthinking this. Yeah, you're overthinking this, and it's time to just act. It's time to just go for it. No net. Just go for it. Have that faith in yourself. Yeah. It's time to go for it. It's time to go for it. Okay, Gemini. I can't wait to see your reading on YouTube. The weekly readings will be posted today, sometime tonight once they're edited. For the 12 zodiac signs. For the longer version of this, the message of the week, that more in depth, each individual reading on YouTube. So we'll see. I haven't finished Gemini's yet, so we'll see what those messages are. Maybe they'll shed some more light, so make sure you check that out. Okay, let's move on to Cancer. Sun, Moon, and Rising Cancer. The sun just left Cancer on the 22nd and entered into Leo. So let's see how the Cancers are doing. Oops. Cards are slipping. Okay. Okay, Cancers. Sun, Moon, and Rising for July 26th to August 1st. Wow, so interesting to see the same cards come up in different positions. Very emotional time, Cancer. You are going through the emotions here. Holy moly. Okay, so Cancer, the reason you are struggling to feel some level of satisfaction right now is because you have to make a choice. Do I stay or do I go? Do I stay working on this thing that I've been working on for the past however long, or do I move on to something new? This is the first 7 of your reading. The second 7 appears here in reverse as what's top of mind for you. So what's top of mind for you is like, okay, so do I stay or do I go? And if I go, where do I go? And what do I go to? And what am I even looking at here? Trying to understand what these choices could be. So you are, you know, at a very interesting place. So as long as you keep asking, do I stay or do I go? And telling yourself, I don't know what to do, then you are going to remain in this dissatisfied funk that you find yourself in. Because at the end of the day, what you need to tap into is your intuition. You need to tap into spirit and your intuition, and you can do that by asking yourself some questions like, what makes me feel like I am embracing life fully? What do I feel driven to do? What is behind my will and drive and desire? What's behind those things? If I felt free to express myself in any way, how would I express myself? Right? And the Knight says it's time. It's time to manifest new ideas. It's time to be a leader, not a follower. It's time to go for it. And you, I hate to say it, but you're feeling really, really like lost to take that initiative right now, Cancer, because of the high levels of emotion and indecision. Very indecisive situation here. It's very indecisive. You don't know. You don't know. I gotta say, the energy of this particular reading right now, Cancer, is I feel excited. I'm feeling very excited reading for you right now. I feel like you're on the cusp of doing something really interesting. I have like a butterfly feeling in my tummy right now. Like, what is that? What is that? What is this thing that you really want to do? I hope it's part of your consideration. Like, I hope it's one of these cups. I hope you didn't rule it out for some reason, because I do see that you are resisting the shifting energy in your life. Why? Probably because you invested a lot of time in whatever this 7 of Pentacles is. That's my guess. You know what I mean? Took time to make this happen, and you did it. And it's hard to see it go away, but look what you're getting in the future. You're getting the 10. You're trading up, so to speak, right? You're trading up. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you a little there. But you're trading up. So whatever this was on the 7, the do I stay or do I go button, I don't know. I say push whatever button feels like the least amount of resistance. Allow and surrender and don't resist. Whatever button that is, pull on that button. I mean, you know, I don't know. 7 of Pentacles is blocking the idea that you need to choose whether you stay or go is blocking your ability to feel satisfied. So then it makes sense that if you were to choose, if you make a choice, then you should feel that you are increasing your satisfaction. Right now, you don't buy it. Right now, you're saying, if I go into the unfamiliar, it's going to be too scary and I'm not going to know what to do. Okay? Other people see you as already having hit rock bottom and needing just to get up. So maybe the choice isn't do I stay or do I go? It's this, the choice as far as other people can see it is, do I get up or do I let this defeat me? Do I let this last phase of my life defeat me, or do I just move on? And I mean, you get up. You get up. You see getting up as being completely unfamiliar. You're like, well, if I get up, what's going to guide me? Your intuition's going to guide you. You don't have to let whatever got you here dictate what's coming next. Other people see you as focusing on a trauma. That's what this says to me, is that other people see you as focusing on a trauma, and you see yourself as being like, I'm not focusing on a trauma. I just don't want that to ever happen again. And that is focusing on a trauma. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course you don't want it to happen again, but you need to, instead of focusing on that, you need to focus on what this new start is. This thing that's going to get you up out of that position where you can get up and see that sunshine, that new sunrise, so that you can start a new day. You know, nothing is quite as effective as a life changer than stuff that makes us get into that fetal position and lay there. It's fascinating, you guys. It is fascinating that the things that transform us are the things that appear to be the darkest element. Like Rumi even says, you know, the wound is where the light goes in. So if there's no wound, you gotta, you know what I mean? Like, we can't be afraid of the moments that could wound us. If we avoid life, then the light won't get in. Then you're truly actually living in the dark, because it's interesting to consider all of this. I know that the idea of, I can see here with the Three of Swords, that the idea of conflict, separation, and the idea that those things are necessary are your biggest fear. You don't want to see that. You don't want to face loss. You don't want to face separation, conflict, and separation. You don't want to feel that those things are necessary, but you know, they happen. Not everything carries forward with us. So the idea of avoiding things that could create conflict, separation, and feelings of like, oh, perspective challenge, like something's really challenging your mind. You know, you've got to let go of something here. There is a dynamic that you're overthinking here, Cancer, and it's time for it to be let go of, for you to embrace. You've got to make room for the new here. And it's going to be unfamiliar. But unfamiliar doesn't mean scary. I mean, we see the Ten of Pentacles here in your future. This couldn't be a more positive sort of auspicious card for you to get, to say the next, you know, the next phase of your life is going to have a physical feeling of content, peace, security. You're going to feel really bonded to yourself, and potentially in a family dynamic you could feel really, really close and bonded. But this could also be your soul family. This whole transformation could be you stepping into your soul's purpose, and this unfamiliar feeling could be you sort of shutting out from the external world. Do you know what I mean? And that's powerful. That's powerful, you guys. Just one sec here. Let me just make sure this is there. Okay. So, yeah, that's powerful. Stepping into the unfamiliar and saying, I'm going to let my intuition guide me and not my emotions. I'm going to keep my inner core pleasant. And regardless of what I see in the external world, my inner core will remain pleasant. Right? That is a choice. And it's one that we can make. Right? It's a conscious choice to say, I am going to keep my core unaffected by what's around me. I will be the observer. I don't need to become connected to those energies or that emotion if it's not mine, right? So there's nothing to fear here. There's nothing to fear here, Cancer. There's nothing to fear here. You need to embrace it. You need to embrace this new phase without fear and without too much overthinking. The overthinking is not helping you grease the wheel, okay? The cause and effect is almost like you're seeing it as a negative. You're seeing it as a consequence of action. So you're almost trying to avoid it. But the Wheel of Fortune is bringing you into the next phase of lesson in life. It's showing you the next outcome. It's a positive, it's a fortuitous movement in life, right? It's helping you move forward into the next phase. Does that make sense? Okay, Cancer. Sending you lots of love and light for this week. Don't overthink it. Go with inspiration. Oops, let inspiration lead the way. Okay. Now, let's move on to Leo. Leo, it's your season. We're in your season now, Leo. The sun is in Leo until August 22nd. So, could be having some Leos celebrating their birthdays in this month. Let's see what's coming up for Leos for this week. July 26th to August 1st. Emperor. Okay, interesting. Oh my goodness, look at all of this royalty. Okay, let's have a look. It's so interesting to see the same cards. I keep saying that. Okay. Leo. Let's have a look here for you. Okay, Leo. It seems like the thing keeping you from understanding yourself in a new way is this idea that you desire a certain amount of avoiding pain. A fear of suffering is what I see here. It's almost like Leos are being called to do some self-work and some self-discovery to really dive deep into some stuff that needs healing. And at the second it starts to feel uncomfortable mentally or emotionally, they stop. They're stopping because they get too emotionally indecisive and unable to detach from the emotion once they start to feel it. So it's like they abandon quest. But the problem is that doesn't help this Leo to understand themselves, because right when they get to the part of the story that's scary, they stop reading. And then they never see that actually it turns out that it was just the tree clicking its branches on the window, and that there was nothing really wrong. So it's interesting. It's like you're hitting a ceiling, Leo. You're hitting a ceiling where, every time you start to make a new beginning for yourself, you get to the place where you hit the emotional or the mental pain, and you stop. Because for you, you'd love to be the phoenix who rises from the ashes, but you are terrified to go through the process of encountering the dimension of yourself that needs healing. That's what I'm seeing for you, Leo. You are in a place where it's like you could go down the path of healing emotionally, but in order to do so, it's going to transform you so much. You don't have the faith in yourself to believe that you can endure this process. You don't think you can. And it's almost like you're looking around at other people who have sort of gotten to the first level of this healing, and you're like, I don't know how they did that, because you don't think you can. You're like, how did they do that? How did they get past that? How come I can't get past that? And it's almost like you're asking questions that are starting to show you the answer, but you don't like the answer. Like, why don't I have a relationship like with my children like this other friend of mine? Her relationship with her children is much different. Or why is my relationship with my partner so different than that person's relationship with their partner? What's the difference between these relationships? And then when you get the answer, like, it makes you sad. And instead of looking at it without judgment, you look at it with such a high level of emotion that it takes over. That emotion ends up taking over the whole scene, and then you end up having to pull back from the healing, because if you push any further, you've convinced yourself you won't be able to take it. But it almost feels like you just have to give it that extra push, because the outcome is that you're going to connect with your inner self. If you do. 2 of Wands as the outcome. What's on the bottom of the deck here? Death. The rebirth. Yeah. That's what's at the bottom here. And that's why it hurts and it's terrifying you, Leo, is because if you go through with this process, you're going to rebirth. You're going to become a new person at the end of this. Ace of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Death card, and Star. And Emperor is already crossed here with the Queen of Pentacles, which really says to me that the idea of redefining yourself as an independent person and as like an authority over yourself, and to have a new way of doing all of that, the thing challenging that is that it hurts, is that it's not a pleasurable experience to go do all this inner healing, and you find that you're too emotional in order to proceed. The emotions become so overwhelming that you can't keep going in your mind. But that is a self-limiting belief in and of itself, because you can keep going. But maybe it's not the right time, Leo. Maybe this cycle of full moons in Aquarius, the one that just passed and the one coming up in August, is an opportunity for you to release some of these self-limiting beliefs. Excuse me, which might be what you're doing now. You might be going through the process of eliminating some of these self-limiting beliefs and finding it's just so painful, but you got to keep going. You got to keep going at the pace that feels sustainable for you. And I say sustainable, not the pace that you can stand, but the pace that's sustainable. Like what can you do here that is sustainable? What little it may be. And if it's getting too intense, then how else can you approach this situation so that you can still go through the healing that needs to happen here, but in a way that you feel like you can endure it? It's really just, I really feel like it's the language too. There's the language that you keep saying to yourself, you can't do it. It's the things you're saying to yourself that are limiting this. That's a tangible thing you can start to change, is how you talk to yourself, Leo. And we've been seeing that in a few readings for you. So changing how you talk to yourself is going to be really, really important coming up here. Oops. Yeah, very interesting. Leo, change the dialogue. Change the dialogue. That's your guidance for the week, okay? Change the dialogue about this. Healing is clearing you out. It's not meant to break you down. So release judgment of the things that you discover while you're in the healing mode. Release the judgment of all of those things. Yes. Oops. Okay. Let's move on to Virgo. Virgo, our last earth sign of the day. Let's see what's happening here for Virgo for the upcoming week, July 26th to August 1st for Virgo. There's the Death card again. I'm telling you, the planet collectively is going through transition, transformation, everything. So we are all going through this, you guys. Okay, here we go. Virgo. You are also undergoing a process of rebirth. And as a result, you're having a challenging time with love. The emotion of love is challenging you as you rebirth, because the truth you're seeing right now is very much focused on the stuff that is like the dark. You're going through it. So your pathway to rebirth, it's like you're starting to uncover some illusions, the false illusions, that the darkness, okay, the lower vibrations that exist around everything that we exist in. You know, these lower vibrations have infiltrated everything on our planet. So it's like we, in order to understand how to transmute this energy, we first have to become the opposing energy. So, you know, if you're trying to transmute fear into love, you still have to go into what is causing that feeling of fear. You have to uncover that truth. And when I see the Hierophant in reverse, I often think that the truths that you're looking at right now are causing a feeling of, you're almost feeling disillusionment. Like, you know, like the human experience contains every possibility. Okay, so right now you're looking at a set of possibilities that are, it's almost causing you to shut your heart to others, and you're not looking at the world with love right now. You're looking at the world with a sense of like distrust. I almost wanted to say the word contempt, but that seems a little bit strong. But you've got the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups in reverse, which really tells me, especially in the position that they're in, that you're at a place where you're going from one phase of your life to another, but you're going to that phase through a pathway of really looking at the element or aspect of human behavior that is on the lower end of the vibration. So the stuff that resides in fear and misery and pain that hasn't been dealt with, so that it's not transmuted into the higher vibration of it. You're starting to delve deep into that part of human aspect, Virgo. And it's interesting because it's like this all could have sort of been pushed because you entered in the past into a relationship that has been very much in unalignment with you. This relationship is not aligned with you at all, but yet it was brought in to your experience to teach you so many things about the other side of the existence, right? Like, this relationship is showing you just what humans are capable of. And right now it's got you sitting in a place where you're like, well, then if that's the case, I don't want to have anything to do with this. And in the future, it's almost like you're going to have to decide whether or not you participate in any sort of relationships that are really, really emotional again. It's like you're doing an emotional evaluation right now. Right now you're saying, I don't want to have anything to do with it. My cup is closed and I am not open for business emotionally, okay? And the rest of the world is like, they're looking at you and saying, you need to stop focusing so much on the past. Stop looking at the past so heavily. So whatever this relationship was in the past that has come in to sort of reveal to you a new area of things that humans are possible, or things that are possible, choices that we can make as humans. We can make any choices we want. It's almost like this has made you bitter. This experience has made you bitter and unpleasant in the sense of how you feel on the inside. You're letting this experience change you, Virgo. Some union that you entered into, be it friend, family, lover, whatever, you made a choice to sacrifice yourself in this union, and now you're almost in a state of resentment against not just that union, but yourself, that person, and to a larger extent, humanity. you're almost looking at the collective judgingly now and saying to the collective, this is no way to be. And as long as humanity is going to be like this, I don't want anything to do with anyone. And like you're locking yourself away, but you're doing that because you're wearing the lenses of just looking at the past. Your sort of the outcome that you want here is one that is connected to a sustainable, warm vision. Like you want to create something where it's like a very deep connection to how you feel and see the world. But it's like by doing that, you have to take in the whole picture. You know, you can't just, you'll go blind if you just focus on the light. And you won't be able to see again if you just focus on the dark. We need both. And it's almost like you're coming to terms with that, Virgo. It's almost like you're starting to come to terms with the fact that we need both elements. We need to oscillate between the two constantly in order to learn about ourselves. And it's that oscillation that's into the dark is causing you to get stuck in this belief that humanity's just no good. And I don't want to participate. I'm not playing anymore. That's exactly what you're saying to yourself. You're saying, I don't want to play anymore because you're not playing fair. What's on the bottom of the deck? 3 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, you're resistant to starting a new phase because you're like, I don't trust any of these monkeys around. I don't want to play with any of these people. This one's capable of this, that one's capable of this one's capable of that. Forget it. My cup's closed. I'm not interested. But it's very limiting because that's going to stop you from being able to start anything. But right now you're like, that's fine. I don't want to start anything with any of these people anyway. It's very interesting. But I feel like it's not serving you because the outcome here is the 9 of Cups in reverse. So it's going to stop you from having the path that you most desire. So by blocking out humanity that you have deemed as being so bad, you're actually not going to get your wish at the end because you're going to be so blocked from connecting with others. So Virgo, give this some thought here. Give this another look because you are transitioning. You are shifting into a new life cycle. So maybe right now isn't the time to be like inviting everyone into your cup, but don't rule it out forever. Don't ever rule anything out forever, yeah? I mean, forever's a long time. Okay, Virgo. Assessing the emotions. That's what you need to get into this week and starting to see that we need the light and the dark. That with one only, we are lost. We are lost. We are one-dimensional without both. Okay, my friends, let's move on to Libra. Our final air sign for the day, Libra. What are the messages for your upcoming week, Libra? July 26th to August 1st, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see. Ooh, the Fool in reverse, 10 of Cups. Okay, Libra. Oh boy, let's see what's on the bottom of the deck quickly here. The King of Swords, yeah. Okay, Libra, here's the scoop, okay? I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to sugarcoat this situation. If you're a Libra and if this resonates, well, I haven't even said anything to you yet because it's just so clear. This message is probably not going to be for everybody. There are some Libras out there, okay? I'm not making this up. We've got the Fool in reverse and it's being crossed by the 10 of Cups, okay? So what this is saying to me, especially with the Knight of Wands beneath and the Queen of Swords above, which is you, by the way, Libra. Queen of Swords, that's you. That card represents you in the tarot. That represents Libra. So what this says to me is that right now Libras are focusing on themselves because they're in a situation where a relationship with a significant other is completely blocking their ability to take a leap of faith into what inspires them. I am so sorry, Libra, but this isn't going to be for everyone. Don't force it. I'm going to say that one more time because it's just so clear. Right now, Libras are focusing on themselves because they are in a relationship that is blocking or creating obstacles for them to take a leap of faith into the path that is being guided by intuition, inspiration. Libras are trapped. This reading is for a trapped Libra. If you're a trapped Libra, send me an email. Let's do a reading, because holy moly, this relationship started off in the past. Here's the Ten of Pentacles. But it was never harmonious, Libra. It looked like it on the cover. The front cover looked like it was harmonious, but it wasn't. And in the future, you don't want to have anything to do with this. Your cup is closed to this person. You are completely outside of the emotional realm of thinking about them in a compassionate or empathic way. Right now, your focus is on yourself because you feel like you just feel so challenged that this relationship is holding you back. You feel like right now you can't get anything off the ground. Right now you feel like anything you start is going to not go anywhere, or it's going to be challenged by this energy that this partner brings in. And other people around you are seeing that you're not tapping into your intuition, that you're not being guided by your intuition, that maybe you're being guided by emotion here. Your biggest hope and fear here is that you're starting a new cycle. You are so ready for it. You are ready for it, but in order to get it, there is an element of sacrifice here. It's like you're not willing to lose anything, but you want something specific. And the pathway to get to it in your mind is unattainable because you'd have to lose something. You'd have to let go of something. Seeing the Five of Pentacles in reverse suggests that you're going to have a change of fortune, that things are going to start to look up. And so that's great, you know, because right now you are dead ahead focused on yourself. So perhaps that's going to yield some results. But that means saying no to something. And I think it's saying no to a person. It's a relationship that's got to go. And this isn't going to be for every Libra out there, for sure. But you know what? This is definitely a message for someone. There is a Libra out there that's in a relationship with a person or an experience that has to end. This relationship is with something that is not serving you. In fact, it's blocking your ability to take that leap of faith, to pursue this new start. You are ready for something new, and you're not going to be a follower in this situation. You're going to be the one leading the charge. You're going to be the one leading the charge, Libra. And, you know, I think you're about to close out a big cycle. You've got the world here and it's upright. So, I mean, that really tells me that you're about to close out a cycle and start a new cycle. But the only thing challenging you right now is this idea that you're going to have to sacrifice something, and that you're not really listening to your intuition. Your intuition might have some info here for you. So it might be time to step away from that rational mind of yours, Libra, and see what the intuition has to say. Perhaps there's something that your mind is missing, that your intuition is feeling that you need to incorporate into this picture. Really, really bang on clear reading here for Libra. I know it's not going to resonate for everyone, but this has been cropping up since the spring for Libra. I don't know, all the Libra readings I do seem to point to a relationship with a person or an experience, some dynamic that just the cord needs to be cut on that dynamic. It needs to be cut on that dynamic completely. And then we see the King of Swords on the bottom of the deck. The King of Swords, he's very strategic. It's an energy that's very intelligent, but sometimes isolated. You know, and you see the Queen and the King of Swords here. So, like, it's really interesting. This is definitely about a union. You guys, this is, for whatever Libras this resonates for, this is about you and your counterpart, not being this Ten of Pentacles. As it's like, the way people saw you guys was false. It looked like this perfect union, but it wasn't. It's not. It still isn't a perfect union. It never was, and it's not now. Oh boy. Okay, Libra. This is your week, maybe. Maybe this is your week to really uncover where you want to go. What is this idea that you have that's very inspired, that your intuition probably has some information on? You know, it's time to tap in. Maybe this week is the week to really do some introspection to see what this is. What does your intuition have to say about this new start that you're going to be, this emerging energy that's coming in, this new beginning? Okay, Libra, message me. Because this has been going on since the spring. Okay, Scorpio, our last water sign of the day. What's going on for Scorpio? Sun, moon, and rising. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising for the week of July 26th to August 1st. Scorpio. Let's see what's going on here for Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio, what are your messages for the week of July 26th to August 1st? The Hermit. We haven't seen him today. Hello, Hermit. Magician. Also, the Sun. Oh my goodness, lots of cards. Oh, there's the Death card. See? Everyone's transitioning. Everyone's transforming. Everyone's cycling. The collective is, yeah. Okay. Let's see here, Scorpio, what's going on for you? Your mental sort of clarity, your mental abilities are challenging you to begin something new. So you've got some beliefs about yourself that are creating obstacles. You've got some self-limiting beliefs about some stuff that happened that brought you to your knees, and you need time to reflect on it, and you're not taking that time. I know several Scorpios that do not like to have a moment's peace. They just are constantly busy with stuff that's great, but there's none of this. You need some reflection time, Scorpio. You need to not be so busy that you miss the looking at the data. You know, like as we're out and about in the world having experiences, we collect a lot of information that you need to sit with in the lab. It might not be your favorite day of the week to sit in the lab and review, you know, the data. You might be more of a field person. You just like to drop your data off and go back out into the field and collect more. But we got to process the information that we're collecting. And there is an ending here that you need to process, because it is at the end of the day what's creating the self-limiting beliefs, okay? There are some self-limiting beliefs that are being created from this experience. And this experience was really difficult for you to process mentally, Scorpio. And as a result, you created some self-limiting beliefs about it. And that is hurting your ability to start something new. A brand new start. So we need to clear out those self-limiting beliefs. Well, how do we do that? Well, we do that by withdrawing from the external world and being really honest with ourselves without judgment about what happened here, right? And when you remove the judgment and you replace it with compassion and love for everyone in the scenario, then you can really unpack what happened to understand what that experience was designed to teach you about yourself in that moment, okay? And then you begin to heal from it. But that healing doesn't take place if we just judge ourselves. What happens is that the need for healing actually becomes greater. Now, I can see that in the past, you've sort of always had a difficult time being emotionally vulnerable. You've had a hard time letting people in the past. And so I think what happened here was that you did let someone in. You let them in deep, and they got to know you on a level that was maybe quite deep. And whatever happened in this scenario, it left you like this. It left you on the ground, curled up in a ball, going, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. And now you're in a place where that needs your attention. You need to heal this before you move forward. Now, why do I say that with such emphasis? Because I see in the future here, we have the Magician, which suggests that you're busy manifesting stuff in your life. And so you don't want to be in a position where you're contradicting yourself by having an unhealed or unaligned energy, and you're trying to bring in something that's aligned. Well, what's it going to be aligned to? Is it going to be aligned to the feeling of unworthiness and sort of a feeling of defeat? Or is it going to be aligned to a more empowered place? So it's sort of interesting to see that combination there. Right now, I think you're feeling like anything's possible, which is really, really good. You're in a place where you're like, anything's possible. I can do anything. I can go forward doing anything, which is beautiful. Because whatever this, but I'm wondering if it's a false sense, because you're needing to address this incident that took you down a bit. Because that, unless it was this experience, no, to me that means I'm feeling that this experience needs attention to be healed. And that this feeling you have that everything is going to be okay may just be skin deep. It may just be skin deep because the rest of the world sort of looks at you and says, Scorpio is coming undone, you know? And so it's interesting, like, it's really interesting. And you are coming undone. We see the Death card here as something that you are wanting, but also something that you're afraid of, because you're wondering what lies beyond those hills. Who is the new you? And it's like I see this Sun card as like an inner dialogue where you're saying, I'm fine, everything's fine, I'm fine, everything's good, everything's fine, I'm good, everything's fine. But it's not fine, and everything's not good, because you're just saying that, but at the place of what you know and what you believe, it's a feeling of, I have no idea. I don't know who I'm becoming. I don't know what's going on. However, what I do see that in the outcome here, we see the Empress, albeit in reverse. That really says to me that you are creating something, but you maybe you just don't understand the significance of it yet. But it's going to change you. This thing that you're literally going to birth that you don't understand yet, could be a child. It's something's changing you. There is a big shift happening here for you, Scorpio, and it's something that's going to leave you having a very new connection to creation. I really think you're going to be busy, like, to see the Empress and the Magician as sort of like your future upcoming energies, albeit the Empress is in reverse, which just says to me that something's out of balance because it's not healed. I feel like that's connected to this Hermit in reverse, and this idea that this Ten of Swords experience never got healed. It's almost like you want to heal that before you birth this new project into existence, which is sort of being brought to us by the Empress and the Ace of Pentacles. So there is something new that you are giving birth to. Could physically be a life, or it could just be a project. But like, you're going to want to heal whatever this mental issue is that's holding you back with some self-limiting beliefs before that happens. Because you don't want to carry that into this new experience, do you, Scorpio? You sort of want to heal it and then move on, right? That's the idea. We want to heal it and then move on. So take the time. Take the time. Okay? Hi, Kim. So nice to see you. I can see you. My friend Kim. Okay, Scorpio, let's do this. You got to heal this situation. It's okay. I know it took you down and it was really hard, but you can do it. You can heal from this. You can actually be a true sun, not just one that you're sort of just telling yourself this. Heal by doing the work. Do the work. The Hermit wants to review this with you. Review it. Let that energy in. Okay. The last reading for the day is Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, Sagittarius. Let's see what messages we have for you for the week of July 16. Why am I saying July 16? July 26 to to August the 4th. Okay, Sagittarius. Oops. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. August 1st. I can't believe we're heading into August 1st. July 26th to August 1st. Okay. Okay. Sagittarius. Let's get started. You've got so many 4s in your reading. 4s are really a time of needing to withdraw and heal and understand. We've got the 4 of Pentacles, we've got the 4 of Cups, and we've got the 4 of Swords. My goodness. So Sagittarius, you need to heal on a whole body, mind, and spirit level. Okay, you need some, you need to focus your attention right now on healing the physical body, the emotional body, and the mental body. Because spiritually, you are coming into something new. And it's almost like you need to be ready on physical, emotional, and mental so that spirit can take over. Because right now, the energy is that spirit will be challenged to take over because the emotional, the mental, and the physical need attention. And I mean, I just want to show you these cards so you don't think I'm pulling your leg, because they're right here. 4 of Pentacles, 4 of Cups, 4 of Swords. Physical, emotional, mental. Okay, right now the physical is in the best spot, but it is being overtaken by your inability to understand what's right and what's wrong. So the Justice card here is creating an obstacle for you to take care of yourself physically. Physically, you are feeling like there's not enough. Physically, you are feeling like I have to hang on really tightly to these resources because once I spend them or use them, I will never get them back. That's it. It's over. And it's like that energy is being, it's like you can't take care of yourself properly as long as you have this right or wrong version in your head. This combination of cards tells me that I am unable to take a leap of faith because I'm afraid that nothing will have my back, and that that there's a wrong, that there's a choice that could be the wrong choice or the bad choice or the, do you know what I mean? Like this idea that, if I make the wrong choice, I'm going to lose everything. It's so much at stake, so much pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Sagittarius is under pressure here. They are very worried about making a mistake because the stakes are so high in their mind. In their mind, the stakes are everything. What they have in mind right now is King of Pentacles in reverse, which is a time where we are facing a challenge in the physical world, but it's like you're facing this challenge, but you don't feel any self-confidence in it. You're facing the daily challenge and you're like, I'm doing this, but I have no confidence that I'm able actually to make any movement in my life physically. That these factors are all like, they all hinge on me making the right decision. When really it's not, doesn't need to be that literal. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like you're putting so much pressure on yourself, Sagittarius, that there is a right and a wrong. So then you're like, well, I want to be on the side of right, not wrong. I want to be on the side of good, not bad. And it's like there's almost like this truth that you have to face before moving forward, that there is no right or wrong, that it's just you have to go with what feels right to you, and that there is no objective right and wrong. It's just whatever you feel. And it's almost like that feeling is so unfamiliar to you. And it's like, no, how can that be? I feel like Sagittarius is almost like going through a place right now where they're having a lot of illusions shattering in front of them. And it's almost too much to bear, because it's like, but I thought that it was this way, and that there was a right and a wrong, and that if I choose right, then there will be a positive outcome. And it's almost like Sagittarius is on the path of learning that it's whatever you say and believe it is. And that in and of itself is like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean it's whatever I believe? Well, what I mean is that it's almost like you're coming into the idea that whatever you believe down to the core will be what you see reflected in the world. It becomes your perspective. It becomes the truth that you hold. And it's like in your day-to-day interactions, other people see you at being in a place where mentally you're at the end. Mentally, you've completed a whole mental cycle, but you haven't acknowledged what it means, because you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. Overthinking it is the name of the game for you this week, Sag. And it's going to leave you feeling like it's a challenge to feel happy. Like you're going to feel so challenged to be in a good mood. Your mood is challenged this week because of this. But you're overthinking something instead of healing from it. Right? Lots of swords all over here. The Sagittarius collective is going through a mental shift that is really, really difficult to process, because it feels like you're trying to process it mentally when really you have to process it intuitively and emotionally. It's like you're going to have to go there, Sagittarius. Even if you don't want to, you're going to have to feel this. You're going to have to feel it, even if it feels uncomfortable. The uncomfortable feeling is going to reveal some truth to you with respect to what your real, like, what is this fear of consequence that you have? It's going to reveal to you what this experience that feels like it was rock bottom, what was it for? What was this designed to teach you? And yeah, there's a resistance to healing from it, because it's almost like Sagittarius does not want to feel this. It makes me think of times in my life where I've actually said those words, where I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to see this. What? And there's that resounding what that you exclaim in shock of like, what? What am I about to learn about myself? What do I have to let go of? What do I have to surrender? What emotional cords do I have to cut my ties to? Like, it's a heavy week for Sag. It's a heavy week for Sag. What's on the bottom of the deck? Hanged Man, which is all about sacrificing and trusting that it's part of the process. Thank you for that, because that is the guidance. The guidance here for Sag is just trust that this is all part of the process, and release, control, surrender to it. Let whatever parts of that shell that have to snap off and break off and fall to the ground, let them. Let them. Even though you've attached meaning to them, it will serve you later. This is all part of the process, Sagittarius. Oh boy, interesting. It's a heavy week for some of the signs. This is one of the only readings we didn't see the Death card. But you know what? The Ten of Swords may as well be the Death card in my mind. It really is a transformative time. It really, really is. And you've got the Four of Swords, which really says you got to withdraw and heal from this in order to move forward. And here's your Death card in 3 cards, right? You've got the Ten of Swords, the Four of Swords, and the Five of Swords, which are all saying to you, it's time to get up and move on. You need to heal, and you need to accept a truth before you move forward. That truth is going to feel really unfamiliar emotionally, and it will challenge you, but don't let that challenge rob you of this Page of Wands that wants to come into the future to help guide you spiritually, intuitively, into a new phase. You are heading into something new. And it's like you're just going to have to stop overthinking all of the outcomes. That's making you bananas, Sag. Because you're like, okay, if I do A, then I get result B. If I do B, I get result C. No, you have no idea what results you get. These are things that you just have convinced yourself of potentially because you're in a place where you're trying to see things in a very black and white manner. You're trying to infuse logic in a place where there is no such concept. If that makes sense. Like, yeah. And you're worried about resources. You're worried that you won't have enough. You might feel depleted already, right? And top of mind is that you're like, I'm going through the physical struggle, but I don't know how to turn it around. I'm going through it. I'm going through the physical struggle, but I don't know how to create inner movement. I don't have the confidence or the materials. I don't have the abilities. You're doubting yourself, man. The self-talk here, Sag, it's keeping you feeling really dissatisfied. Sagittarius, change the inner dialogue. We got to change that. We got to look through a different section of the cheese. Okay, the Swiss cheese I mentioned earlier, we have got to look through a different part of that Swiss cheese. Don't look just through one hole. Go check out the other holes, okay? Because you might get a better picture of what's beyond the Swiss cheese. And then you'll feel safe enough to just remove the Swiss cheese and just be in it raw, right? But until that day comes, make sure you look through every single hole you can. If you look through one hole only, you're only going to get that shot of the universe. And right now it looks like that's overwhelming you because you're trying to create outcomes when you don't know what the outcome could be. There's some healing here, Saggies. I have my rising sign is in Sagittarius, so this resonates for me too. You're not alone, Sagittarius friends. I'm right there with you. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for messages for the week for July 26th to August 1st. Now, a couple of things before you all run away. This is going to be posted on Instagram TV and on YouTube momentarily. There will also be readings done for each sign in greater detail, but they will appear on my YouTube channel because they're too long for Instagram. So those appear weekly. Those will be uploaded tonight. So check for those. And if you want a personal reading, if any of this has resonated for you and you would like a personal reading, you can just message me here or on my email, energybluerose@gmail.com, and we can set one up. Okay, my friends, have a wonderful week. Sending lots of blessings, lots of love and light. And, you know, we're all in this together collectively, as you could see. Every single sign got the message that we're transforming. So we're doing it. We're doing it, you guys. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Sending lots of love and light.